Are you looking to get on the road to your dream career? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Mentor Select Podcast with your host, Derek Phillips. Always stay up to date on social media at Mentor Select and online at mentorselect.com. Here's your host of the Mentor Select Podcast, Derek Phillips.
Welcome to episode 38 of the Mentor Select Podcast. It is always a pleasure to have you join us. Be sure, if you have not had a chance, to like, subscribe, and review the Mentor Select Podcast on iTunes or whatever platform that you listen on. Also share it with your friends, family, anyone who you feel can benefit from this high-quality virtual mentorship. It's been quite the adventurous morning for myself and my wife. For those of you who know that we are expecting our first child in June. Legacy Phillips is her name. But this morning, my wife had a scare. She thought that her water broke. So at 6:30 in the morning, she was panicking, saying, "Hey, we need to go to the hospital. I think my water broke." That was a scary moment for us because at this point, she's only 30 weeks. And we don't want Legacy coming this soon. We want her to keep baking a little longer. So fortunately, after we went to the hospital, they ran several tests. And the test came back negative. So her water didn't break. So that was a welcome false alarm. But it was a reality check for us to know that, hey, we need to have everything ready because we don't know when Legacy is going to come. So we definitely will be this weekend focusing on packing our bag and all of that stuff and just making sure that we're prepared for whenever she does come. But we're hoping, fingers crossed and praying that it's going to be closer to her due date, which is June 21st. Other than that, today we have a phenomenal interview with Argustic Dunbar, who is what he calls himself a hybrid entrepreneur. And I'll let him explain more what that means. But throughout the interview, Argustic gives so many just golden nuggets, practical steps that we all can take to improve our financial situation and also increase the impact that we're giving back to the younger generation. Argustic is very passionate about empowering youth and especially African Americans. So he's really a passionate brother and he has so much knowledge to share and just this enthusiasm, energy is contagious. So buckle up and be prepared to experience Argustic Dunbar. All right, great. We have Argustic on the Mentor Select Podcast. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, brother. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Glad you can take some time out of your busy day to share some of your wisdom and experience with us.
Yeah. No, I'm sure I'm nowhere near as busy as you are, though.
Well, maybe. But Argustic, so on the Mentor Select Podcast, we really like to get to know our guest mentors a little better. So can you tell us something that most people don't know about you?
Something people don't know about me. Yes, I'm probably going to have the most interesting fun fact that you've ever had on your show. So
it's going to be tough.
For those that don't know, I'm extremely tall. No, I'm like, I found out, I thought I was 5'4". I went to get a physical done. I found out I'm 5'2.5", but it's all good. So in high school, I wasn't very tall. So I wasn't very good at a lot of sports. Basketball, not really. Football, not really. And I finally fell in love with a sport that I was good at, and being short was actually it was a plus. It was actually powerlifting. And
okay.
I was in East Texas and Texarkana, right? And there's nothing out there besides football and trouble. All these little small Texas cities. And I was really, really good at it. And I went all the way. I didn't go to state. I stopped at the one right before state. I actually got beat by a guy much shorter than me. He was actually a midget. So that's one interesting fact about me.
That is a good one. That's a good
I couldn't even hate on me. This guy was strong, man. I was like, man, I thought I was short. So.
But no, I love that where you point out where no matter what we may perceive as a shortcoming per se can also be an advantage. So yeah, I wouldn't have guessed you're a power lifter. That's really cool. In that sport, someone that's 7 feet, they're in trouble. They don't stand a chance. There's always advantages to be found. I like that. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing. So Argustic, I created Mentor Select to empower people to transition from a job to what they feel their purpose is in life. So can you tell us how you are living your purpose?
Absolutely, man. I agree with that sentiment. For those of you guys who don't know, my brand is Argustic Dunbar, the hybrid entrepreneur. And I believe that in today's society, especially if you are an African American, I think it is more important now that we have more of us running businesses and being entrepreneurs than any other group. Even if you love your day job, right, and you don't see yourself doing anything else or ever leaving, you still owe it to people younger than you and people who are coming up to show them an example of success and be a role model for someone. I have a friend, he just recently retired from a big IT corporation, and she's been selling wine and wine accessories on the side for like the past 10 to 15 years. And it started as just a way to get a tax write-off, but she is now doing it in retirement. She's just like, I just love it. I love meeting people. And even if she never, makes more than 10, 20,000 a year or whatever, she's still providing an example of success for any other, single Black woman who says, I want to learn how to run a business. She's a small example, but she's an example of success. And I believe that we need to show that. My story is similar. I came from Houston. I grew up in the hood, all the rappers are from Acres Home. And my dad, when I was growing up, told me, hey, you're good at math. And as long as you're good at math, there's always going to be a job out there, right? That was one of the few things he told me that actually was true. I got a degree in computer science, went to UNT, and graduated, started working at AT&T, loved the money, hated what I was doing after 90 days of being there. And I actually got introduced to my firm. We're called PHP Agency, people helping people. And what I do is I show families how to make money, how to save money, and how to get out of debt. And I specifically focus a lot on millennial families and minority families. And my mentor there, his name is Mr. Jason Graziani, was the first person who I had ever met who made $250,000 in income as a business owner and was interested in spending time with me. And I have an ego, just like anyone else. But I was like, look, my rule is if you make more money than me, even if I don't like you, I'm going to shut up and listen because obviously there's something I can learn. And that was 4 years ago, as of September 2018. And I've just never looked back. I've come to learn that I love sales. I love helping people. I love entrepreneurship. I love problem solving. I love meeting someone who's thinking about starting a business or has an issue in their business. And like immediately right there on the spot, I could have met them 2 seconds ago. And I'm already trying to process a way to help you get over what it is that you're currently dealing with. So that's a little bit, I guess, about my journey. Hopefully that answers the question for you.
Oh yeah, you definitely did. I love it. And we certainly can hear the excitement in your voice. That's why I certainly love talking to entrepreneurs or just anyone who love what they do. They're passionate about it. It's electric, it's contagious, comes across that way. So you graduated from college and then you're working for AT&T. So it was an IT related position. 90 days, you realized that you hated it. What was that transition like from then until what you're doing now?
So the transition took longer than 90 days. It was just that, I'm sure you understand, like when you go from I'm broke my entire life to now I make, close to 6 figures. Yeah. I can make 70, 80,000. It's like you get complacent for a little bit. And so I wouldn't even say complacent. I would say I was happy. Like I was happy to be there for the first 2 months or 3 months. And I had a friend, her name was Dinah, and I remember we met and she got started like maybe 2 months before me. And she was like, oh, look, you're happy now, just like all of us were. Right? But come 2 months, you're going to hate this place. And I said, no, I won't. And sure enough, 2 months later, I couldn't stand being there. My problem was, and you guys can learn from me, I was open, I was vocal about it. I was the guy on the floor saying, yeah, I'm not going to be here in 10 years. I'm causing complete chaos on the floor. So I shouldn't have done that, looking back at it. But it was actually 2.5 years in where the opportunity just presented itself to me. AT&T, if a lot of you guys don't know, at least the corporate office, they do a lot of layoffs. So once or twice a year, they'll have huge layoffs. And the way they do it is actually pretty cordial. The way they did it when I left, they were saying, hey, we need to get rid of X amount of people. I don't remember how much it was, right? To make some room for, save some money or whatever. Right. And they said, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go talk to all these people who have been here so many years, 30, 40 years. They call them bellheads, right? And they're going to say, how many of you guys would like to take the retirement package, right? And then that gets rid of so many people. Okay. On top of retirement, they were also paying them severance. Right. So after the retirement group, they then had like this little survey thing they sent out. And it basically said, hey, we need to get rid of so many people. Check yes or no in one of these boxes. Yes means I'm willing to part ways with AT&T. Okay. No means I don't want to leave. I want to continue to be here. Either way, you don't get to choose, the company does. But obviously they're going to go after those people who say yes first.
Right.
And I'm at the time, I'm 23 or 24, I think. And I have my son, he's 5. Yeah, he's 5 years old at the time. And I can't stand to be there. My boss doesn't like me. Half my coworkers love me, half of them hate me. And the one that didn't, that don't like me, they just didn't build a relationship with me. I'm the kind of person, I say all kind of crazy things, and I come off this way if you don't know me and have a personal relationship, right?
Okay.
So, so I'm sitting there and I'm very I won't say depressed. I'm just very dissatisfied, unfulfilled, unhappy. Can't stand going into work. I'm trying to do as little as possible, but still keep a paycheck. And I even had one of my bosses like speak to me one time, and he's like, "Look, dude, I don't even know if this corporate thing is for you." He looked me in the eyes and he was like, "Look, you got to be honest with yourself. It's the corporate track for you." Right. And I was at a crossroad because it was like, I don't want to be here, but at the same time, I don't really want to work. I don't want to do what it takes to really be a full-time entrepreneur. I'm not willing to put the work in. Right. And that's the internal, dialogue I was having with myself at the time. And that's why I like PHP Agency, because they let me build a business on a part-time basis. Right. Okay. And I probably averaged, $1 to $2 grand per month in income that year. And it was enough to do extra stuff on the side with my son, but it wasn't enough for me to live off. And so then I go back to my desk that day and I listen to a lot of motivational speaking. I listen to E.T. Tony Robbins is my number one guy. I love Les Brown. I listened to a Les Brown audio that day, and literally it said, "How many people are getting up every day, going to a job today? Hey, da, 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 da."
A lot.
And I'm like, man, he's talking to me.
Right.
He's like, this audio that day was talking to me, and my heart was racing. And I'm like, man, I want to my comfort zone wants to put no, but I know like deep down in my soul that I need to check yes. I need to leave this company. I need to get the hell out of here. So listen to Les Brown. I had the courage. I checked yes. 2 days later, they called me and they're like, "Hey, we got your letter. We're going to offer you severance. You get to take your 401k, and we're going to pay you another 2 weeks pay." Right. And I just said that the timing has never been better, and I got to go for it. And that's what happened. Very scary at the time.
Yeah, I can relate. I experienced something similar recently. I was laid off in June, the end of June, but I'd already been planning to leave. Like I say, I was doing a bare minimum.
Yeah, I know you said that at the event.
Yeah. But they fast forwarded.
You know what it's like? You know what it's like? It's like you're in a relationship with somebody and you're like, "Man, I really want to be here." And you think, but you ain't said it yet. And then she breaks up with you and it's like, "Oh, great, I'm going to have to be the bad guy now."
Exactly. So saves me. I got to send that text message.
Yeah. I love it. So
you took that leap of faith, certainly. So once you did take that leap, what was that process like? What did you do next?
I struggled. It's so funny. Everybody, especially now in the social media age, right? Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. They want to run their own business and be their own boss. And what you realize, and this is why I asked you the question at the event, is the habits that got you, or what made you successful there won't make you successful here necessarily. And as an employee, you have a structure. You're told what to do. You know what to do next. And there's always constant work in the pipeline, and you're given a lot of direction. But as your own boss, you don't have a lot of that. You need to create that, and you need to create the habits, right? I see so many people, and they're like, "Oh, I'm my own boss now. I quit my job, and I'm gonna show up to the office and do whatever I want, whenever I want."
That's not
going to last long. Then they realize exactly that, oh, I still have, I have to be productive. I can't just be busy.
Yep.
I can't just sit at home in my, or eating marshmallows or whatever, right? I've got to get out and I've got to provide value to the market.
Right.
And as an employee, you're trading time for money. So even if you show up and do very little, you're still trading time for money.
Right.
But as an entrepreneur, you're trading value for money. So if you don't go adding value to anybody, you're up Schitt's Creek. And it usually, the worst part about it is it's not immediate. It's slow. You're going to pay for what you're doing today 30 days from now, 60 days from now.
So true.
Yeah. So I went through that, and then I had to hit rock bottom, and I realized, okay, you know what? I've got to recoup. And I had to realize that my number one problem was, you ever go through the motions? Like you're getting up and you're doing, it's almost like when I was at the job. Like I would get up at a certain time, get dressed, brush my teeth, go to work, but I'm just going through the motions. There's there's no enthusiasm or excitement in my day, right? Kind of how you can hear right now.
Exactly.
But now it was like that with my business. And I'm like, how did I get here? Like, how did I get to the point where now I don't have a boss? I'm making my own income and I'm still not excited. What's going on? And I still kind of fall back into it every once in a while. But what I realized was that I was showing up out of obligation and doing what I knew I should do, but I didn't know what I wanted. I was unclear. I had no clarity whatsoever. And so once I sat down with a piece of paper, I sit and I write with paper all the time. Like, I should keep a journal. Anytime I'm feeling any kind of emotion, if I have a piece of paper and I have like 10 to 15 minutes to myself, I can typically get over it. And I sat down and I said, okay, what do I want? Right. And the funny thing is what happened was my mind went to everything I don't want. That's another problem that people have is they don't know what they want. And so they focus on what they don't want. Where focus goes, energy flows. And so by focusing on what I don't want, I got more of it versus focusing on what I do want. So it's not enough to know what you don't want. You have to know what you do want. And just like that, just by sitting down and having that conversation and figuring out what would make me happy, what would make me fulfilled, right? And it's not just a dollar amount. It's what that dollar amount can do for me.
Right.
So the question was, okay, how much money do I want to make? I want to make X amount because then I can take my son to do this, this, and that. I can buy his mom this, this, and that. I can take my mom on a cruise and, so just figuring out what I wanted and like just doing that got me excited. And I was able to, rebound and recoup. I made more money that year than I ever did in my business, period. And it was funny because my back was against the wall and I had no other options.
Right.
And that's what it took.
Cool. Yeah, that's very important, like you said, in terms of knowing what you want and writing down and really just documenting what you want, how you're going to get it, establishing that plan. Yeah, it makes a world of difference.
Uh-huh.
So going back, you had mentioned earlier about a hybrid entrepreneur. I like that term, but can you tell us more about what is a hybrid entrepreneur? The
simple definition of a hybrid entrepreneur is somebody who works a full-time job and builds a business on the side. That's simply what it is. It's a hybrid between employment and entrepreneurship. And I remember talking to a mentor of mine, and this has nothing to do with entrepreneurship, but he was talking about how he bought his first house.
Okay.
He's 63, 64, and he was telling me I need to get out of apartments and buy my own house. And I was like, I ain't got money for that at the time. I was at AT&T at the time. But he was telling me how he got his first house. He was like, all I did was didn't pay my light bills and my electricity and stuff like that for like a couple months. I saved that up and put that down on home. I said, unfortunately, if I go skip a couple, electricity bills, that's not a down payment these days. It just doesn't work that way. Basically, I say that to say, in today's economy, especially if you're a parent who has obligations, you have rent, you have kids and things like that, it's just not sensible to leave everything cold turkey. And with the cost of things being so expensive and inflation, it makes sense to build a business on a part-time basis. A lot of people end up doing that same thing. So people don't know this, but Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs actually, I think Steve Jobs was full-time, but Wozniak actually built Apple Computer on a part-time basis until Steve Jobs forced him to go full-time in their business. He was at HP and loved what he was doing. Right. So a lot of people have actually built their business on a part-time basis. I think it's smart. I think it's safe, especially if you have prior responsibilities.
Most definitely. Yeah, that's a common reoccurring theme that I hear from entrepreneurs is, if you can have that parachute or if you have that safety net while you're building your business, and you certainly want to do that. And that's something that
and you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So today when people don't build a business and they're telling me they're broke and they've got a job and a part-time job and think about getting you're either, you don't believe in yourself or you're just uneducated. Because no matter how many part-time jobs you have, you will never be able to get ahead financially. Not that way.
Right. Exactly. From taxes are going to kill you from the first thing. And then you're limited. You have that ceiling on how much money you can make versus, as you mentioned earlier, as being an entrepreneur, you're trading value for money. So however much value you make, there is no ceiling. That's
it.
Thing about
Dude, if a guy can sell pet rocks and make hundreds of thousands, if not millions, you can do anything. He's sold rocks.
Right. Exactly.
Especially
with technology today, we just really don't have no excuse. I was watching the news this morning. The highest paid person on YouTube, as far as YouTube influencer, is a 7-year-old.
Wow, really?
Really made this year. I think they say made $22 million, and based on his channel, all he does is play with toys
and opens them up. And my son watches every single video.
Yep. So if a 7-year-old can make $22 million on YouTube,
you have no excuse.
You have no excuse.
None.
But like you said, it's whether a combination of not educated or they just don't believe in themselves. And certainly all been there, but that ties back into what you're doing in terms of your efforts and pursuits as being an entrepreneur. Can you tell me more about why you're so passionate about getting more minorities to be entrepreneurs?
So PHP is primarily minority. Our CEO is a 39, I think he just turned 40-year-old Iranian American.
Okay.
And we can get, so I do a lot of life insurance, right? But let's look at the industry as a whole. The average, I'll say financial person, and that goes into everything. So that goes into like real estate professional, that goes loan originating, that means underwriting, that's life insurance, annuities, that's stock market, mutual, all that. The average person who does anything like that is a 60-year-old white male.
All right.
That's just what they look like, right? No matter what it is. And so the average agent in PHP Agency is a 34-year-old Hispanic woman. So we're completely different. And I've been submerged in that culture for the past 4 years. And so I just see the work ethic that a lot of these immigrants come to our country with, right? And I'm sure maybe even know a few people. Either think about like your friends, someone who you know who either they weren't born here or their parents weren't born here. Their work ethic is different than someone who was born here.
Yep.
Because we take what we have for granted,
Definitely.
right? So I've just been immersed in that culture for so long that's just how I see it. And more specifically to hit home is in the Black community, I realized that that's what fuels me. I thought my why was my son. And when I was in corporate America, that definitely was not the case. But like, I don't know if, I know you and your wife are expecting. Do you have any kids right now?
No, we're expecting.
Okay, so you're expecting. Congratulations, by the way. I saw the video. It was so dramatic.
Appreciate it.
It was very dramatic.
Yeah, she put a lot of thought into it.
So a lot of times when you're going into entrepreneurship, people will ask you, you got to know your why. You have to know why you want to win and succeed and make money, which is very true.
Right.
And for most people, they just say, oh, it's my kids. I want to provide a nice lifestyle for them. Well, when you come from an industry like IT that's booming and you can make a lot of money, you get hit by what I call the golden handcuffs, right? Where I make more than just a livable wage. Yeah. I probably make more than 50 to 60% of people today in America, right? If you make six figures, your household, you and your wife make six figures together, you're in the top 20% of America, right? Whether you believe it or not. And so you can get off of your day job as a hybrid entrepreneur and then say, you know what, I don't really feel like working hard today. I'm not going to do anything in my business. And if you string a bunch of days like that together, you just end up in the same place as you were 12 months ago, right? And that's what happens when you have a day job that pays you decent. So because you're able to take care of your family without actually having to build a business. So then you realize that, okay, well, my family isn't strong. I love them, but they're not a strong enough motivator. Otherwise, I wouldn't be taking days off, right? So I found myself in that position and I said, okay, I've got to find something bigger than me to contribute to. And I don't know what that is. Well, I had lunch with a friend and she was telling me about, she's actually white actually. And she was telling me about this book called Evicted, right? And it was written by this guy, I forget his name, but basically he talks about the housing market, specifically when it comes to people who own homes and they're renting them to families in the Chicago area. And they talk about like the school to prison pipeline and the way that mortgage agreements are set up and how it all ends like a little event can turn into someone being homeless, uneducated and poor, and the systems and how they're set up. And a lot of times the people who are getting taken advantage of in these systems are minorities. Yeah. And so that's a long roundabout way to answer your question. But growing up, I'm from Houston, and I saw a lot of my friends at the time make different decisions than I did, worse decisions than I did. And quite a few of them are dead or in jail right now. Yeah. And the only difference between me and them, I feel like, is I had a father figure who was present, and he gave me direction, he gave me guidance, and he held very high standards for me academically. And when you look from the outside looking in, if you've never stayed in one of our communities in the hood, then you just think they're a bunch of heathens. They're selling drugs. They sag their pants and they're unproductive. They're lazy. They smoke a lot of weed. That's just what it looks like from the outside looking in. Right. But when you come up and you understand the plight of a lot of single Black mothers who are working, literally, my mom worked 3 jobs to put food on the table. She didn't have a college degree. And a lot of them, being single mothers who don't have a lot of family or friend support, their children see this. And their children see this and they say, you know what, my mom's struggling. I got to figure out a way to help her. And McDonald's just ain't $7.25 just ain't cutting it. Because I've got my friend Jimmy up the block who sells drugs and he makes $2,000 a week.
Yeah.
So it's like you're gonna sit here and you have me sit in this class and I'm learning about Pythagorean's theorem and Shakespeare and shit, and none of this is helping me or my mom.
Right.
So I'm gonna go flip burgers for $7 an hour. I'm gonna go, sell drugs to Jimmy, right? And then because the mom is working so often, she doesn't have time to monitor who the kid's spending time with. So he's running with a bunch of bad apples. And then to take it one step further, what happens is some of these, and my mom did it, was in a lot of bad relationships, not because she was in love with whoever and they treated her well. They actually treated her like shit. Excuse my language. But she needed help with income to put food on the table for me.
Wow.
Right. So now you feel obligated. You feel like a burden because this person is struggling because they have you and you just want to help in some kind of way. Now, I've never sold drugs a day in my life and I never will, but I remember seriously considering it.
Yeah.
I remember seriously considering it when my cousins do it and they have more money than me and they're having fun. They have cars, and it's like, man, that's so attractive.
Yeah.
And the only reason I didn't do it is because I knew I was thinking long-term. I said, look, I'm a good student. I'm going to get a scholarship. I'm going to go to college. And in 2 years, this is my dream. In 2 years, this will be a thing of the past. I won't be broke anymore. But imagine if I didn't think I was smart.
Yeah.
Imagine if my dad didn't hold me to high standards academically.
Would have been a different turnout, certainly.
Right? So that's why I'm so passionate about minorities and specifically entrepreneurship in the Black community, because we need people to provide examples of success. The reason every young Black boy wants to grow up and play basketball or be a rapper or do something with singing, dancing, whatever, is because that's what we see. We see Beyonce, we see Jay-Z, we see LeBron James, we see Lil Wayne, we see Denzel Washington, we see Will Smith. All of our idols are entertainers.
Yeah.
So we need some Black entrepreneurs. If we can have Little League baseball and basketball, why can't we have Little League entrepreneurs?
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? And it's the truth. And so whether you love your job or not, I believe it is your duty as a Black person today in America to run a business, even if it's on a small part-time, whatever. Even if you buy things from the dollar store and sell them on eBay, that's a business. You need to provide that example so that someone, when they're growing up, can see you and say, man, he does that. It's something he does on the side. It's part-time. It's not, but he creates an extra $2,000 in income for his family. I want to be like him when I grow up.
Yeah.
That's what keeps me passionate.
Love it. You make a really good point about as far as being our duty, our responsibility to be that role model, that example for success. It's like you say, it's just so important, especially for kids growing up in the hood, inner city. They see every day are the drug dealers. Those are the in their eyes.
And that's who they want to be.
Yeah, that's their idea of success. And I had the same experience. For me, it was more so, like I said, being able to think long term and see beyond, my current situation. But with all of those negative stereotypes and with the media and everything reinforced, I remember where on a daily basis, we're being told that, okay, as a Black male, you're either going to be dead in jail by your 21st birthday. Yep. So with that type of negative reinforcement, it's not easy to look far in the future. You're living day by day. Yeah, certainly what you're doing is help giving that model of success. Love it. Keep it up, certainly.
Let me back up a little bit. I am weird, okay? I'm not meant for everybody. Everybody is not meant to be my friend. And I've just come to understand that. I say things that sometimes rub people the wrong way, and that's never my intention. I sincerely, just genuinely, I love helping people. I love helping people. And from what I see a lot of times with the issue is the issue that they have is not an issue, it's how they're processing the issue.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So like, let's say someone's stressed a lot, right? With bills and money or whatever, right? And so to handle that stress, maybe they pick up the habit of smoking. Okay. Smoking in itself does not help solve your issue. You're dealing with a symptom, which is the stress. When your real issue is how you're saying, okay, I have no money or I'm tight on bills, right? This makes me stressed. Let me go handle my stress. When you should say, okay, what's the root issue? Oh, the root issue is I spend more money than I make. I don't save anything month to month. If I just saved first and then pay my bills later and then maybe did something on the side, now that solves the issue. So they're processing it wrong. if that makes sense. I'm the kind of person where like I judge people. Everyone judges people. No one wants to say it out loud. I just judge people. Like
Right.
from the first 2 seconds I meet them. And it's a sales thing, right? I'm always profiling people. You know, can this person use my product? But I take it a step further. I'm always thinking like, I don't like, you don't need your bad habits reinforced is what I believe. So let's just say I have a bad habit of, I don't know, stealing. Okay. Which I used to when I was growing up. I don't need to spend time with you if you steal too. You know, like I could love you, but we don't need to spend time together if we're going to reinforce each other's bad habits.
Gotcha.
Make sense? So that's how I look at my friendship. I have a friend who has a really good work ethic, and I felt like in the past mine was poor. So I literally, when I became friends with him, I said, bro, I freaking love your work ethic. I want that to rub off on me. We need to spend time together. And so I look at stuff like that when I am trying to decide who my friends are going to be. So back to your question, I realize a lot of my friends within my agency, PHP, are very entrepreneurial. They're very hardworking, and we think about the same things, right? And then I would go home and I would hang with friends who were not. And I said, look, if I'm going to be successful, I need to be obsessed. I need to get around a group of people, even if maybe you're not in my industry and you're not doing what I'm doing, you're at least the bare minimum, you're interested in entrepreneurship and making more money and being your own boss. Like that's the bare minimum in order to be in my network.
And then another thing you mentioned about like with work ethic and just people not reinforcing like our bad habits. Going back to immigrants, that's something that I've had an opportunity to travel to over 32 countries and really just seeing people from different countries, how they have a different work ethic, how they're really grateful for things, really helped shape my perspective and work ethic. And it's a guy I listen to a lot. His name's Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm not sure if you heard of him.
Absolutely. Everybody knows Gary V.
Yeah, Gary V, the man. He mentions like basically everyone should be an immigrant because, for example, his family came here with nothing. And now
I know.
Look at him. So as so many immigrants have that story, it's just incredible. But at the same time, so many Americans are born in this country with so many resources and don't do anything with it.
I heard some statistic a while ago. It said even if you're on welfare, say in America, and you're in the bottom like 1% or something, you're still in the top 99% of the world when it comes to income.
Yes,
you're still. So we as human beings, like I don't believe anyone's inherently lazy. I don't think there's lazy people out there. I know that sounds weird, right? I believe that people just have goals that don't inspire them.
Okay.
And any animal, anything that you look at a bare minimum is going to do what it needs to do to survive. Okay. It just so happens that we don't have to do a lot to survive. You need enough money. What do you need to survive? You need shelter, you need food, you need water, you need clothes in your bag. I think I'm missing something. And if you can go work 20 hours a week, part-time job and get that done, and then just sit on the couch and play Xbox from there, then you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Because that's all it takes for you to survive. Now, if you're born in a third world country where they're not industrialized yet, and you have to farm, you have to get out every day at 4 a.m. and work till like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and that's just what you get used to, now you've built the habit of working hard. So when you come over here, it's like I can slack off like these Americans do, but I've already got the habit instilled in me that I have to work hard. My identity is tied to it. Yeah. So they come over here and they tear it up.
Man, kill. They
tear it up.
Exactly. So that's why I hate when I hear Americans say, "Oh, there's no opportunities, there's no jobs, there's no," just complaining. Like, wow, you can't be serious. It's immigrants coming to this country every day who can barely speak English. They're starting their own business. They're doing.
Yes.
I have a friend. She came from Vietnam, barely spoke English. She didn't think about getting a job when she got here. That might wasn't even an option. Started a nail salon. I'd be like, wow. What excuse do we have? I just don't get it.
None. No resources, can barely speak the language of the people here, and is killing it. So like we live in the greatest, I don't care, we live in the greatest country, economically speaking, ever. Like there's never been a better time. My goodness.
Man, the streets are flowing with milk and honey.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's out there. You just gotta be willing to go get it.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm certainly happy that with your efforts that you're definitely working to help educate people and just show them the opportunities that are out there. So certainly that's a great thing. So keep that up.
Thank you for that.
Well, Argustic, you've given us a lot of great wisdom. What will be some of your parting word of advice to the listeners?
I got a lot, man. As you can see, I talk a lot.
That's good. You're a great storyteller. That's a good trait to have.
I got to give the Toastmaster, and I got a lot of friends who talk a lot. So, that habit's rubbed off on me. Parting words of wisdom, man. I'm going to direct this at the younger generation. So I'm 26. So younger is like 15, 16, 17, 18, right? I think everyone wants to be a good parent, right? Like, I don't think anyone wakes up saying, I'm going to be a terrible parent today. I'm just going to do the worst job I possibly can.
Yeah.
I realized at a young age, at like 20, 21, that my dad or parents in general, they will teach you as best that they know. My dad barely finished high school, didn't finish college. And so his effectiveness as a mentor on academia and how to make money and things like that ran out at around age 19, 20. And he did the best he could. And what he told me is what a lot of parents are telling their kids even till today. Go to school, get good grades, get a good job, right? I believe it is the biggest lie told today in America for most people, okay? They don't talk about the student loan debt. They don't talk about how the average person graduates at 22 with $26,000 worth of student loan debt. They own one or two credit cards, and they've never been educated on money a day in their life. Like, if you look at our system, we're setting people up to fail financially. Yeah. And not to mention that student loan debt is the only debt that you can't get rid of when it comes to bankruptcy, right?
Right.
But that's a different story. We're setting our people up for failure. So this specific wisdom is for them, and I have a video on my YouTube where I talk about this. If I could do it all over again, right, I would leave and I would go to a college. I would still go to a college. I wouldn't enroll in a college, and I wouldn't pay tuition. I wouldn't do that, right? Okay. Apparently, what I learned later is that they have this thing called auditing, where you literally, as anybody, you can sit in on a class and just, critique it, learn the same material. You just don't take tests and you don't get a degree for it. Wow. I would go and I would go to it. I wouldn't stay in the middle. I would go to the East Coast or the West Coast. I would go to a USC or a Harvard or something like that, where wealthy people send their kids.
Yeah.
And I would network with them, because if you're going to have friends, you might as well have friends with networks and resources.
Exactly.
And I would figure out what kind of problem, not what kind of business I want to run, but what problem would I want to solve? And what product can I create, or what service or what opportunity can I create to do that? I would make friends with all the wealthiest and most elite people. And I would figure out who is passionate about this idea as I am. And I would learn how to build a business. And if I wanted to learn about it, I would go sit in a business management course. Or even better, I'd go find someone who ran a business who was way ahead of me. I'd stroke their ego. So you're so successful. I love what you do. I love to take out the coffee. And they will give you information for free.
Oh, yeah.
Or you can pay $20,000 a year to learn from someone who makes $60,000 on how to run a business that they've never done.
Sound like a bad deal.
It does. And when you say it that way, you say it out loud, doesn't it sound dumb? But that's what we're doing in our country. So that would be my specific advice to that generation. In general, I would say go follow my CEO on YouTube, Patrick Bet-David. He is the #1 channel on YouTube for entrepreneurship right now. It's called Valuetainment. There's so much to be learned from there. Watch who you associate with. Not even watch. Pick wisely who you associate with. A lot of times people just they're friends with so-and-so just because they shared a class together in second grade. And that's it. There's nothing more specific about who they spend their time with. And find mentors. And if you don't know any right now, use Google Maps. There's someone who runs a business in every corner, in every city. And if that doesn't satisfy you, go get some books, right? I was told that, somebody will spend their entire 30, 40, 50-year lifespan studying one subject, and they put it in a book, and they charge you $10. Yeah. You can have their entire life's work for $10.
That's the best return on investment you can get.
It really is. But, in some cultures, we're not taught about reading. In fact, you're made fun of and you're frowned upon if you do. Yeah. So there's a lot of things out there. Our habits are not conducive to success. They're conducive to poverty, lack of income, crime, and just low thinking, low irrational thinking.
Well, yeah, I really love that. You was really specific about that advice, which is really good. So it's actually gave them practical steps that they could take. And I think I've heard like you can audit like one course, but I didn't realize you can audit like multiple courses. That's
Man,
awesome.
try it until they kick you out. I don't know.
You probably
I don't
could.
know.
Like you said, yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, that's some really good advice. How could listeners get in contact with you?
On Facebook, if you type in Argustic Dunbar, the hybrid entrepreneur, that is my business page. You type in Argustic Dunbar, right?
Okay.
I have a headshot that comes up. That's my actual page. And then my dad, he's so stubborn, he won't change his name. His name is also Argustic Dunbar, but his says Argustic Dunbar, the real one, because he says he's the real Dunbar. And then I have
original.
a page I created in and then I have a page I created in high school that I just don't know how to delete. I've been trying to delete it for years now. It's like a black and white photo of me. I look 16. So don't choose that one. Don't click that one. You can find me on Instagram, all one word, the hybrid entrepreneur. And then you can also find me on YouTube. It's youtube.com /C/Argustic Dunbar. There, I also highlight and interview entrepreneurs such as yourself and have them teach practical tips for people to build their businesses.
Wow. Okay, cool. Great. Well, we really appreciate stopping by the show today, giving us a lot of great advice. Certainly learned a lot. I'm sure the listeners have as well. I'm looking forward to see all the great things you continue to do. Again, thanks, Argustic. It's been great.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, man. Till next time.
Take care. That was a phenomenal interview with Argustic. Wow, he shared so many golden nuggets, really just practical steps that we all can use to improve our financial situation. And I love the term that he coined, hybrid entrepreneur. That's really cool. And Argustic is really passionate about ensuring that minorities have hope, to know that it's possible, to know that they don't have to sell drugs, that they don't have to commit crimes to be successful. And he's basically is a shining example of that. I love what he's doing. So be sure to reach out to Argustic and let him know what resonated with you about this interview. I'll leave all of his contact information in the show notes. Until next time, I'll be back next week.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Mentor Select podcast, helping you identify and follow your passions. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit mentorselect.com and Mentor Select on social media. If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate and review, and to join the email list to receive weekly emails that contain valued guidance for your career. We'll catch you next time.